Good morning, students. Welcome to the session of moving charges and magnetism. Okay, I hope everyone are safe and sound, staying at home, enjoying your holidays specifically. But let us continue the chapter because the exams are coming ahead, so we need to focus, and we are trying to make all the possible way to make your examination easy. So we need your cooperation as well. So you need to study. We can give the best things, but you need to study at the end of the day. So in this session, we will be making or we will be studying on passing package. Focused on like how to get passed in specific chapters or specific subjects. So when it comes to physics, I'll be discussing few of the questions today regarding moving charges and magnetism. Guys, you have already studied moving charges and magnetism theoretically, but in this session we only focus on question and answers, and we'll see what's the question, what's the most important question from that particular chapter, how to solve it in easy as possible way. Okay, yeah, with this we'll start. So moving charges and magnetism, we have taken around let us say some 11 questions are there which are very much repeated from the previous years. So these questions I have made it as easy as possible for you people to understand. So let's see how well that even you can understand in this session and make use of this. So, and with this question studying in this video, as well as you need to practice it at home so that you will remember this question, how to reproduce it in the examination. With this we'll start. Okay, first question: derive an expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a circular current flow. It's a straightforward question. Don't panic whenever you have been asked for derive an expression and all. First understand the question, give yourself some time, understand the question, draw the figure, then understand which chapter it is and what are the principles on which this expression can be derived. So those things, if you can understand, then it will be very easy. Okay. So in this question, derive an expression for the magnetic field is asking. So I'll read out the question. Derive an expression for the magnetic field at a point on the axis of a circular current flow. So there is a point on the axis of what? Circular current flow. Okay. So for that, okay, just let. So with this, what we can do, we just take derive an expression magnetic field circular current loop. Take a circular current loop, write it. Okay. Point its center and draw an axis line, and take a random point on its axis. So you get a point here. For this point, now you have to make a nomenclatures. So from the center it has a distance x, right? So and this circular current loop has a radius of r, and show that there is a charges moving or current in the circular loop with I and the arrow mark. With this, now to derive an expression, we need to have a magnetic field at this position. Always remember, the magnetic field obviously acts at perpendicular. And where is the magnetic field is originating from this circular current flow. So you can't directly take complete loop. We take a elemental length of the complete loop, or you can say small length of this loop, that is dl. Because of this dl, there is a magnetic field at this point. So draw a line. And how it's acting? It is acting perpendicular to this position, this line. So that should be perpendicular. You have to draw like this. So when you draw like this angle makes 90 degree, which we have not shown it here. And this dl is making an angle at this point P theta with respect to a circular loop. Okay, and that is given by small r. So and this is dB. And now we resolve this resultant magnetic field. Okay, this is the resultant magnetic field. We resolve it. dB sin theta in the horizontal direction, dB cos theta in the vertical direction. So dB sin theta gets added up, whereas dB cos theta get cancelled because one is in positive direction, the other one is negative direction. So for dl, the magnetic field that is acting is only in horizontal direction. Or you can say for a circular current loop, the magnetic field will be acting on the horizontal direction itself. So with this, we will further go for deriving an expression. So this This thing, what or you can say, this expression can be derived using Biot-Savart's law. So Biot-Savart's law equation, directly you consider that equation is given by dB mu naught by IDL R divided by R square, that we have marked as equation 1. So what is R? See, DL, you know, this is DL. This R, can you see the R here, and can you see the R here? Can you make it what is R? R is nothing but you can write it as R square root of R square plus X square, right? Because of Pythagoras theorem, write it, equation number 2. So substitute 2 in 1. So while doing it, remember this R in the numerator get cancels with R in the denominator. So take the denominator as root of R square plus X square. So with that equation, and we know that horizontal components adds up and vertical components of magnetic field gets cancelled. So what is dB sin theta? dB sin theta is the magnetic field value for small length dl. If that is the case, what is the total magnetic field B? Or you can say B is integral of, or the net magnetic field is the integral of small elements of these things, dB sin theta. So adding up of all these small element over the length dl, over the complete length, or complete this length, or what is this complete length of the loop? That is circumference, right? For circle, what is that complete length? That is circumference we consider. So here also B is equal to integral of dB sin theta equation, that is for net magnetic field. What is dB? We know that Biot-Savart's law, and through the figure we have this equation. Substitute dB, and sin theta is, what is sin theta by trigonometry? Opposite by hypotenuse. So when you get sin theta, opposite is R, and hypotenuse is small r. Small r is nothing but root of R square plus X square, right? Same thing I have done it here. dB I have taken it from this equation, mu naught by 4 pi IDL divided by root of R square plus X square, and similarly sin theta is opposite by hypotenuse, capital R by root of R square plus X square. So with this, what I can do, I can resolve this equation into B is equal to, this is mu naught by 4 pi is constant, I is constant, R and the denominator terms root of R square plus X square into root of R square plus X square, they are constant. What I should do next? What I can do is simply take all these things to this side, and and you can just take integral of dl, right? So when you take integral of dl, the integral of dl is circumference, that circumference is 2 pi r, this is 2 pi r. Integral of that circular loop, wait, I'll go to the figure. Integration of dl over this complete loop, what it gives? It gives a circumference. What is circumference? That is 2 pi r, that's what it's really, 2 pi r, or B is equal to mu naught I R square divided by 2 into R square plus X square 3 by 2. This is the expression for magnetic field for a circular current loop at a distance from on its axis, at a distance or at a point on its axis. So this is Biot-Savart's law. Through Biot-Savart's law and the figure or the information given from the question, we can write this and reduce the equation. Then we know net magnetic field is this much, and when you substitute all the equations and reduce it and do the integration, you will get the final expression for the question. Okay, this carries around 5 to 6 marks. All you need to do is focus on the question, how to solve it. Don't panic in the examination. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask us out. You can always text on this this question, and we'll be very happy to solve this. Next, moving further, next question is about derive an expression for force between two parallel conductors and define ampere. Okay, it is straightforward. You need to derive an expression for a force between two parallel conductors and defines ampere. What is ampere? We have to define. So first, there should be force between two parallel conductors. Let us say we will write two parallel conductors first. Okay, there are two parallel conductors. Okay, these are two parallel conductors. So in these two parallel conductors, remember, when we say conductors are parallel, they can be in the same direction. The current flow can be in the same direction, or the current flow can be in the two different directions. In this question, the current flow, we have considered two figures. The first one, the current flow is in the same direction. The second case, the current flow is in the opposite direction. So we know that when the current is flowing in the same direction, they experience attractive forces. You can go through the theory which is mentioned here. When the current flows in the same direction, they have attractive forces. When the current flow in the opposite direction, they have repulsive forces. So we are considering only attractive force case here to define force between two parallel conductors. Okay. So remember, the question is asked for F. F is nothing but force. Force on what? Conductor. And what is this force? This force is because of magnetic field. There is no other force which attracts each other. When there is a current flowing in a conductor, it is because of the magnetic field it's been attracted. So now I1 is the current flowing in the conductor PQ. Similarly, RS is the current flowing in the conductor RS, and we have taken a small elemental length dl. Because of the conductor or because of the current flowing, because of the current flowing in the conductor PQ I1, there is magnetic field that is produced on this RS. The same case that what we have observed in the last question. Here, because of the current I1 flowing in PQ, there is a magnetic field that is produced on RS on the observable length what we have taken, delta L. Because of this magnetic field, there is a force, attractive force towards PQ, that is delta F. That is because of what you can say, Maxwell right hand rule or Palm rule number 1. When you keep a right angle, the magnetic field and the force of action and the direction of magnetic field, they're like completely perpendicular to each other. The current direction, magnetic field and force, all these three acts perpendicularly. So if the magnetic field, if the current is flowing in this direction, the magnetic field will be towards you. So if this is the screen what you are seeing, the magnetic field acting will be towards you, towards the observer, and to the right hand side it will go the force. Okay. So with this we can say force due to current carrying conductor is given by F is equal to BIL sin theta. F is equal to BIL sin theta because the magnetic field is observed. This conductor is observing magnetic field produced by PQ. F is equal to BIL sin theta is the standard expression, and for this elemental length we are considering. So now we will see, consider a current carrying element AB, okay, of length delta L, of the wire RS. The magnetic field produced by the current carrying conductor PQ at a location of the other wire RS is equal to B1 mu naught I1 by 2 pi R. This is the expression. Okay, B1 is equal to mu naught I1 divided by 2 pi R. So according to Maxwell's rules, right hand palm rule number 1, the direction of B1 will be perpendicular to the plane of paper. That's what I have that's what I have explained. It will be directed towards you, all these things. So now the direction of the current element is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Therefore the magnetic force on the element AB of length delta L is equal to, delta F is equal to B1 I2 delta L sin 90 degree. Why 90 degree? This is acting 90 degree. But why B1? Because magnetic field produced by the first conductor. Okay. Similarly, why I2? I2 is the second conductor. Because of the delta F is the force produced by the second conductor because of the magnetic field B1 and produced by the second conductor in a length delta L with an angle of 90 degrees. That's 90 degree. So this is the expression for delta F. So we solve that delta L B1 is equal to mu naught I1 by 2 pi R I2 delta L into 1 because the sin theta is there and theta is 90 degrees, sin 90 is 1. So here mu naught I1 2 pi R and I2, they are all constants, take it out, and summation of delta L. What is delta L? The summation of the small length is equal to total length of the conductor, that is L only. So force is equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi R into L. Thus force per unit length between two straight parallel conductors is given by F by L is equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi R. See, this is the total force for acting between two conductors carrying current at which are a part of distance R. Okay, there are two conductors carrying current in the same direction and they are a part of R distance. So that this is the final expression. F is equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi R into L. But why do we write this F by L, force per unit length? Remember guys, whenever we calculate force, the force will be calculated over entire length. But here we will be focusing on force per unit length, because the length can be any, the value of length can be anything. Okay, it can be 1 meter or 100 meter or 1000 meters. But if you know the force per unit length value, you can multiply it for the respective length and get the final answer for that system. Okay, so that's why force per unit length between two long straight parallel conductor is given by F by L is equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r. So with this expression only, we can define what is ampere. It is defined by assuming the force between two carrying conductors are standard, which means they both are same, that is 1 ampere. The force between two parallel carrying conductors of the separation r is 1 meter. So distance of separation is 1 meter. Current carrying is 1 ampere. Then we define what is an ampere. So F by L is equal to, this is the equation, mu naught I1 I2 divided by 2 pi r. So F is equal to, force per unit length is equal to mu naught by 2 pi, because they are unit amps, and r is 1. So 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton per meter is the answer, force per unit length for 1 ampere. So how do you define it? So 1 ampere is the current which, when flowing in each of parallel conductors placed at separation of 1 meter in vacuum, exerts a force of 2 into 10 power minus 9 Newton per meter on 1 meter length of either wire. So what is 1 ampere? 1 ampere is a current that flows when there are two parallel conductors flowing, when two parallel conductors which are 1 meter apart, which are placed in vacuum, and they have current passing through them of 1 amps, or they have equal current flowing in it. So, or you can say 1 ampere is the current when some force is exerted. What is that force? 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton per meter. Okay, I repeat again, 1 amp is the current which, when flowing in each of the parallel conductors placed at separation 1 meter in vacuum, exerts a force of 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton per meter on 1 meter length of either wire. So we are considering, to define 1 ampere, we are considering 1 meter length of the wire, and they should be separated of 1 meter distance, and they both are of equal length of the parallel conductors are carrying 1 amp. So when you say that 1 amp is carrying, it should produce a force of 2 into 10 power minus 7 Newton per meter. Then only you can say what is 1 ampere. Clear? So this question also the same thing, it can carry up to 5 to 6 marks. Okay, so focus on this. It's a very simple, draw the figure, parallel conductors, one is same direction, the other one is opposite direction. Consider the same direction, and we know when same direction it's going, it attracts. That's what we want. Because of first conductor and current carrying in the first conductor is I1, it produces magnetic field on the second conductor, and because of the magnetic field there is a force that is acting, or that is, you can say, attractive forces. So because of this attractive force that is acting, it produces, or you can say, because of the magnetic field it produces attractive force, and we are finding out what is that attractive force. Okay, so the standard expression for force in a magnetic field is BIL sin theta. So with this BIL sin theta, and what is the expression for B1 magnetic field for the other conductor, because of the influence of this current on this conductor. So with these two equations we can find out what is the delta F, and delta F you substitute and solve it for delta L. So this final expression you will get, and force per unit length. Using this force per unit length we can find out what's the definition for ampere. This is it. It's very simple and easy. All you can do is first understand this and this and this. Substitute this equation 2 in equation 1, and you get the answer as we saw. Okay, so moving further, the next question is, explain with a circuit diagram how a galvanometer can be converted to a voltmeter. It's a very simple question. It can be asked for maximum 2 or 3 marks. Okay, because figure carries 1 marks and explanation carries 1 mark. Sometimes figure carries 1 marks and the explanation carries 2 marks. Okay, so now explain with a circuit diagram. First you draw a circuit diagram. How a galvanometer can be converted to a voltmeter. So if you don't write the bottom section or a parallel section of this conductor, that acts as a galvanometer. The current carrying is I, there is a resistance, galvanometer resistance Rg, and the final current, that output current, is Ig, galvanometer current. So by connecting shunt resistance, a small resistance, it makes, I mean, in parallel, it reduces the total, what do you say, it makes the total resistance into very low resistance. You know, when you solve this equation, the resistance will be very minimal, the effective resistance will be very minimal. So which device will have a very low resistance? Voltmeter and ammeter, right? So the condition is, to make an ammeter, it should have very low resistance, or we know that an ammeter has a very low resistance. Thus, in order to convert a galvanometer into ammeter, a very low shunt resistance must be connected in parallel to a galvanometer. Okay, so you need to connect a very low resistance, so that overall resistance of the circuit becomes very small. Thus, a galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by adding a low shunt resistance in parallel to the galvanometer. That's what it is given here. So first you draw this galvanometer circuit, then you add shunt resistance in parallel, then it converts into ammeter or voltmeter. That's all. 2 marks or 3 marks you can expect from this question. The next one is, derive an expression for the force acting on a current carrying conductor placed in the magnetic field. To all the first and second questions we have derived expressions. This is the basic actually. Or you can say, to specifically the third question, for two parallel conductors carrying current and what's its force acting. This is the basic for that. Okay, F is equal to BIL sin theta, what we have seen there, this expression is the basic. What he is asking, simple question, you have to derive an expression, okay, where there is a conductor. Let us assume there is a wire which carrying current in a magnetic field. There is a magnetic field. Let us assume there is a room and there is a magnetic field in it, and in that room there is a wire passing current, or wire which is carrying current in it. Okay, so that wire is aligned like this, and we have considered only small section of that wire, and that wire is aligned to an angle of theta with respect to magnetic field. Let us say the magnetic field is moving from left to right, and the conductor is aligned in what do you say, in a diagonal position. So, and that is making an angle of theta. And what is the conductor length we have considered is L. And this conductor, obviously, how does the conductor looks? It's in circular form. So if there is a conductor in circular form, there should be its cross sectional area, and this is its cross sectional area. Okay. So with this we can see, according to free electron model of metals, the current in a metal is due to the motion of free electrons. Obviously, if there are free electrons, then only there will be a flow of current. So when conductor placed in a magnetic field, the magnetic field exerts a force on every free electron, isn't it? For every free electron, the magnetic field will be exerting force. The sum of all the forces, so sum of forces acting on all the electrons is the net force acting. So what is this force that is producing on the magnetic field, you can say, or on the conductor, is it's sum of all the forces acting on these electrons, okay, on the conductor. Okay, and these electrons, are they still? No. If there is a current carrying conductor, means that flow of electrons should be there. So if the current, if there is an electron moving, then there should be its velocity. What's its velocity? We know that as per the theory, it is drift velocity, we say, and we express that as V suffix d. Okay, that is Vd. Okay, this is the drift velocity. So now, from the figure you can see there is a conductor of length L, and it has a cross-sectional area. Okay, and in this area there are number of electrons present in that, and these electrons are moving at a speed of Vd or V suffix d, or you can say drift velocity. Okay, and all these electrons are attracted or influenced by magnetic field, and magnetic forces are acting on these electrons, and total force acting on these electrons is nothing but the force that is acted by magnetic field for this conductor. Okay, so with this we'll understand what is I, or what is current, how the current is given. So current is equal to number of electrons in that particular length N, or number of electrons that per unit volume N, and charge on that electron E, and cross sectional area of that or the area in which these electrons are moving, and per unit volume, and drift velocity. So I is equal to NEA Vd. Excuse me. I is equal to NEA Vd. So when N is the number of free electrons per unit volume, Okay, magnetic force on each electron is how much? E Vd B sin theta. Magnetic force is E Vd B sin theta. You can see the magnetic force will be E Vd B sin theta. It's directly perpendicular to both Vd and B. Okay, the magnetic force on each electron is directly perpendicular to Vd. What is Vd? Drift velocity and magnetic field. Okay, volume of the conductor. This is by what is a Maxwell right hand thumb rule. Directly perpendicular to both velocity, direction of motion, as well as direction of motion of the electron, as well as the magnetic force and magnetic field. They are all the three are perpendicular in nature. Right hand thumb rule. So volume of the conductor. What is the volume of the conductor? If this is the conductor, what is its volume? Its cross sectional area multiplied by its length. It's the volume, total volume. That's what we have written, AL. So now what we are trying to do is we need to find out what's the total number of electrons and what's the force acting on each electron. Product of the both of these will give the total force. Okay. So to find out the total number of electrons, we are considering its volume. Therefore, the total number of free electrons in the conductor is equal to, what is this? N. N is the number of free electrons per unit volume. It can be any volume. But what is the volume at this case? This is product of area into length. So N into A into L. So net magnetic force on each conductor, F is equal to force on one electron multiplied by number of electrons. The same thing what I have told. Force on one electron multiplied by number of electrons, that gives the total force. So force on one electrons, E Vd B sin theta, number of electrons, NAL. That's what you have read. F is equal to E Vd B sin theta into NAL, that is equal to NEA Vd dot BL sin theta. So when you rearrange this one, this equation, that becomes like this. What is NEA Vd from the first equation? That is current. So F is equal to IBL sin theta, or you can call BIL sin theta. So the total force acting on the electrons or on the conductor, on the particular length of conductor in a magnetic field when it is placed at an angle of theta, is F is equal to BIL sin theta. This is the general formula for acting on a current carrying conductor in vector form. F is equal to BIL sin theta. And when this force is maximum, when the force is maximum, if this is the conductor acting at this position theta, if it's aligned at horizontally, if the conductor is aligned horizontally, theta becomes 0, sin 0 is 0, then force is 0. And when this is maximum, if the conductor is aligned vertically, that is theta is 90 degree, that's what it's shown here, force will be maximum when sin theta is 1 or theta is equal to 90 degree. That is when length of the conductor is perpendicular to magnetic field. Okay. So with this, it gives an expression for the force that is experienced by the conductor of length L and an angle making with the magnetic field theta. That is F is equal to BIL sin theta. So it's very easy. All you need to do is draw the magnetic field and place the conductor in it, mention its angle of inclination and what's its length, find out what's its volume. Okay, find what's its volume and what's the number of electrons present in here. Okay, this is the number of electrons present in that particular conductor of length L, and magnetic force on each conductor is nothing but charge. Where the magnetic force is acting? On the charge. And because of this acting, what's happening? The electrons are moving and they are drifting. Vd, the velocity, it's influencing its speed. Vd into E into magnetic force, that is magnetic field B sin theta. So magnetic field acting on the electrons and multiplied by its velocity, that gives us magnetic force, right? So that's what we have substituted in the final equation and we got the final expression. So with this we can say this is the expression for magnetic field or magnetic force acting on a conductor which is placed in a magnetic